Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're back again. Top Table Talk, another week of madness. And the race for Champions League just keeps hotting up. And we've got the boys back to discuss. A few going to join us as the show goes on. But we've got Charlie in the house. Wolfie is back. I've got to say, it's a bit of a smiling Wolfie this week. Maybe there's a particular reason.
I'm not, man. My light's broken.
There's always something wrong.
Forest in the dark.
Yeah, basically.
And we've got the boys, got Chris and Daz in the house as well. And look, people, just before we get started, if you're just coming in, give the show a like, and of course, make sure you're subscribing to all the channels, including ours, Forest Fans TV, Blue Brothers, and the other boys that will come and join us during the show as well. I think it's fitting that we start with Forest, considering we probably ended the show pointing the finger at Forest as a team that would maybe slip up. And Wolfie, you're nodding your head there in agreement with what I'm saying to you. You know, you've had a lot of shots fired at you over the last week. Forest are going to slip up. Forest are going to drop points here and there. Well, you went to Spurs and you got the 3 points. It was maybe, in my opinion, closer than I thought it was going to be. But talk to us, mate. Like, you got those points on the board back in third, or you were for a short period of time. Fourth now, 60 points. How you feeling, mate?
Well, it's good to see. I needed those 9 days where, by the way, my team didn't kick a ball to see who my true friends were, where the alliances really stood and would it hold and not. And I saw some new colours from Pete, I have to say, during that period. Yeah. When we sat down, when we plotted the war plan.
On Potts' show, for sure.
Huh?
Pete was a bit anti-Forest on Potts' show the other week.
It was,
I clocked it.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you. Like, I expected all that crap I got from Never a Foul because they are what they are, right? But I thought the Alliance would. I gotta say, Daz and Chris, as always, you've been exemplary, and I have no issues with your gentlemanly conduct.
All the way, Wolfie.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Are you sure?
Bro, well, at least to my face, right? But I'm getting voice notes from Pete after I'm kicking off after he broke rank with Villa, getting tonked by Villa. Because all you had to do is beat Villa, and that was Villa done. That was it.
I know.
No, it's coming back.
You're on about after the Villa game on Saturday.
Yes.
On. Charlie, am I right? Right, Wolfie came for me. He started asking questions of me in the chat, saying,
there was a little bit of that. Yeah, there was.
There you go.
Why was I asking questions, man? Because you didn't do what you were meant to do. That's the point. It's okay to argue in the alliance, man. It's not okay to stab someone in the back, right? That's what happened. I got no apology from Pete from that, Charlie. You'll bear witness to that. He's like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Mate,
yeah.
At the end of the season, when you're going for Champions League places, there's no friendships. That's it.
Honestly. And then I got accusations. Charlie, can we clear one thing up here? Have we ever allianced ourselves together over the last couple of weeks?
What, me and you?
Yeah.
There's been a little bit of that, yeah.
When?
No.
Oh yeah.
When?
Hasn't really.
Thank you.
We knew it.
Thank you. No, Charlie, tell the truth because there have been accusations thrown.
I popped up in his chat a few times when there's been an early goal against Forest, and then it's turned around, and I've had to swiftly disappear.
Yeah. So Pete's been accusing me live on his streams, by the way, Charlie, of me and you forming some secret alliance.
Oh no.
Thank you. So Pete, apology.
Pete, if it comes down to the final day of the season, right, and it's me versus Wolfie for Champions League, who are you picking?
Ooh.
How is this?
How are you even hesitating to answer?
Like, you can't. Why are you putting it on me?
No,
because you're the one who put these accusations forward, man. If you come with a claim, back it up with your evidence.
I don't even think I said it live. I don't even think I'll put it in the chat.
Don't make me clip you up. I haven't got time to clip you up, so don't make me clip you up.
But yeah, anyway, no, there's no alliance with me and Wolfie. So yeah, as you were.
Yeah, exactly. I've been here fighting the non-big six, Cartel 6 cause thinking Pete had my back. Clearly, Daz and Chris have been gentlemen about this. And then just because he gets onto Sky Sports, he suddenly thinks he's Big Six now. He thinks he's Big Six now. I mean, seriously.
If that's not drawing me out, then I don't know what is.
To be fair, he is Big Six now. Spurs have definitely been replaced by Newcastle, so there we are.
Well,
I saw the other day they referred to them as Big Seven, and I was thinking, well,
I
think they were talking about both Forest and Newcastle.
Oh, you're in there now, yeah?
Well, we are ahead of all of you, so what are you saying?
If they are up there challenging next year, they could make a claim for it, yeah.
In the Sky betting, all of this season, they have referred to Newcastle as the Big Seven. When in the betting, it is everyone else, and like we're in that Big Seven bracket. So, hey, don't shoot the messenger. That's just what we're seeing. But back to Forest. Then.
All I'm saying, bottom line is, I didn't kick a ball for 9 days. I kicked a ball, won my game. I went third. All right, Man City have won again. I was fine with that. I'd rather they won than Villa won. And I'm back and I'm looking quite comfortable. So I've already got 6 free points coming my way with Leicester and West Ham. That puts me to 66. Anything else from Brentford? Who else we got? Palace. And who's the other one? Oh, Chelsea. They're all bonus points. 66 gets you over the line. Villa can only get... I did actually like your tweet, Pete, the other day. Villa can only get 69, wasn't it? Technically 68 with their goal difference. So, like, at an absolute stretch of Villa win every game, you've got to get to 69, which is 3 wins from where I am now, or 2 wins, couple of draws. And Chelsea are just going to do what Chelsea do best. Try to be relevant and then bottle it. And
but we'll beat Everton at home, though, unlike you.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right. Timestamp on that, please.
7 minutes, 19 seconds in.
All good.
Are you confident on Everton?
Reasonably.
Did you beat them at Goodison?
No, it was 0-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you beat Ipswich this season?
No, but you went to penalties against Ipswich, by the way.
We beat him 3 times this season, by the way.
Yeah, but you did go to penalties in the FA Cup.
Yeah, we still beat him 3 times, twice in the league, once in the cup, bro. Come on, man. Our yards measuring sticks now on Ipswich. So how far you've fallen, man.
You mentioned Ipswich, not me.
All right, let's do Liverpool. How did you do against Liverpool?
Oh, I haven't played them yet. We lost at Anfield, and
we won.
We haven't done the return leg yet.
Okay, so whatever yardstick you want to use, man, like you're going to struggle here. Unless you want to use Europa Conference. Who you got again? Garden Gnome or something in the next
round? Gardens, AstroTurf pitch.
Truro Gardens, Covent Gardens, man.
12th in the Swedish league.
That's where we're going. Is Tarkowski injured?
Oh, yeah, Tarkowski's gone. Yeah,
that actually cost us, or as a collective, I don't think Man City get 3 points out of Everton if he didn't come off.
Keane's terrible.
Keane's a donkey. Why didn't he put O'Brien into the middle and then bring on a right back? I'll never know. It's just stupid management.
Quite decent at right back. I mean, it's better than a 38-year-old Ashley Young or however old he is now.
So
for Tarkowski,
I don't know.
I don't know.
But you still got him,
but he's not playing. He's not playing on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't think like the narrative you guys were pushing for the last 9 days. You guys seem to have gone very quiet. Like, are Forest getting top 5? Is anyone raising their? Is anyone not raising their hand?
I think I'll be honest. I think it's done now. That win against Spurs has pretty much confirmed it.
So you're in trouble, Charlie.
Thinking.
Before
you answer, don't be gentlemanly. Like, I'm asking the other boys, the other side of me.
We're just so absorbing it in.
Well, I don't need to ask them. The alliance is held strong with me, Daz, and Chris all season, mate. Like, that's why we're on this side of the screen. You get me? It's like you and Charlie are on the other side now. There's not north-south divide. It's east side versus west side right now on this screen.
Segregation.
Oh. Yeah, I think it stays the way it is now. To tell you the truth, I do think Nottingham Forest will get Champions League. And to answer the question from earlier, no offense to you, Charlie, but I would rather see Nottingham Forest get in.
That's my boy. That's my boy right there.
But it just because the whole hotels thing and selling the ladies'
women's club,
all those things. of those things add
all
up.
legal, all in the rules.
Were they in the rules for UEFA?
I don't know. They're Premier League rules, though.
Yeah, but what about the UEFA rules? Are they breaking those?
No, not as far as I'm aware.
Really? Really?
Well, at the moment we're in the clear. So
Okay,
yeah.
if you say so.
Well, mate, there's been nothing to suggest we're not. So as long as that it stays that way, that's fine. If we have to do a few brown envelopes, then so be it. No problem.
You're not even hiding it.
They're shameless, man. Shameless.
Mate,
And you're backing him, Pete. You're backing him over the alliance.
No, let's not pretend that. Let's not pretend that all football clubs are not doing dodgy backhanders at some point or haven't done. They all have. So let's not pretend that we're all above board with our deals, because we're not.
So if someone jumps off the edge of a cliff, you're jumping, is what you're saying.
Depends how high it is.
Very high.
Probably not.
I just think, look, they did their way, and then Forest and Newcastle got together. We did it our way together legally. Exchanged players.
Sorry, talking of legal, mate, you got docked 2 points for overspending.
That's a speeding ticket. That was just a speeding ticket for a start, right? It ain't Man City 115. That was just a speeding ticket.
No, but you cheated, so don't talk to me about breaking rules.
So if you get a speeding ticket, if you cheated, or did you just go slightly too fast?
Is speeding against the law? Yes or no?
Yes.
So therefore, you've broken the law. So therefore,
okay, is speeding the same as murder?
No.
All right then. So we sped, and you went and sold your freaking hotels to yourselves, and that's
not against the law.
That's embezzlement, man.
Not against the law. Yeah. Anyway, back to the football, boys. What we saying?
Well, I think Daz said he thinks that Forest are done. That they've made it. He's also said
I don't think they've made it. No, but I think that it will finish. That the 5 that's there will finish in that with the 5. Order may change, but I think and a lot to be done from all our clubs just to make sure of it as well. Nothing is done, signed, sealed, and delivered yet. But sorry, go on. Let's get your thoughts, Chris.
I feel like, and I don't know whether this is overconfidence or not, but I feel like 3rd and 4th spot will be covered by Newcastle and City. I don't know which order, but I feel like Newcastle and City will get 3rd and 4th. As for 5th, if I had to lay a bet on it now, I would say I probably fancy Forest for it. But a little bit like Daz, there's still what 4 games to be played, isn't there? So it's difficult to. Well, actually, I say 4 games. There's 5 games for some teams, isn't there? But it's difficult to nail it down because we have seen some funny results in the last few weeks. But if I had to put a bet on it now, I would say it's either going to be Forest or Villa, and I'd probably side with Forest. I think it will be Forest.
Why are you more confident you finish it ahead of Forest?
I feel, Wolfie, I feel like the Villa results could end up working in our favour in terms of I think it'll give us a bit of a shot in the arm. And I think with Eddie Howe coming back,
is he coming back?
Yeah, he's going to be back for the weekend.
All right, that's good news.
Yeah, so I think we're going to kick on and get a little bit of momentum. I do think that Villa results will work in our favour. You've got some really good fixtures, Wolfie, but I did, to be fair, I thought that when you were playing Everton, I did think that. So I still think you'll do enough, and I still think you will probably get 5th. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, the one thing I will say, I'm saying Newcastle and City get 3rd and 4th, even though City won against Villa. Like they're just not very good anymore, are they? City don't look the same team. They don't.
Their fixtures are, I'd say, the second easiest after us.
Yeah.
They've got Southampton still to play, haven't they? So that's 3 points there for them.
Yeah. They've got Wolves next. I think
City's fixtures, I think, are easier. If you
they've got the easiest running, I think.
Yeah.
Nah, we have. There's no doubt about it.
I think we should look in depth at Chelsea's fixtures because that's the if Villa are slightly behind now and if we'd be 5 points clear of them, I think we should focus on Chelsea's.
Here we go.
Because Everton coming up next on Saturday. What are you thinking there, Charlie?
Yeah, no, it's difficult. I've maintained since that January window closed and we actively decided to make our squad worse that it was done there and then. The frustrating thing is that the draw, like we should be on 2 more points already because we should have beaten Ipswich at home. And so that puts you on 59. If you don't do
Should have drawn with Fulham, mate. Are you going to ignore that?
We beat Fulham.
Yeah, I'm saying you should have.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, like, the drop points in those games, like if we hadn't heavily rotated the team against Brentford, maybe that's a win there and a couple extra points. We've only got ourselves to blame for the position that we're in. However, having said that, it's still in our hands. That's the reality. We win all our games, which is a massive if and is highly unlikely to happen. But we win all our games, we qualify. I think if I look at those 5 games, we need 3 wins. 3 wins puts us on 66 points, and that's probably enough to get top 5. My only problem is, where are those 3 wins coming from? I think one of those potentially Everton at home. I'd say Man United at home. I know our record's not good against them, but if they're in the Europa League final, it's like the midweek or something after or the week after. So they play a heavily rotated side. You'd imagine we should be able to beat them. Liverpool at home, the league will be wrapped up by then. Maybe that's...
Do you think that'll have an impact, Charlie? Do you think... Because obviously all they need is a point against Tottenham, don't they? And
I would have thought... Well, look, we're sort of clutching at straws a little bit here, but it's going to be slightly easier than if they needed the points for the title, I would have said. But look, I'm not saying that this is like this is a win or whatever, but it would be... I would imagine the Liverpool game, our chances increase ever so slightly based on the fact that the title's done. Whereas if it wasn't done, then I wouldn't give us much of a chance at all. But yeah, look, my concern is that we're going to need to win one of the away games against Newcastle or Forest, and we haven't won a big away game for a considerable amount of time. So I look at them games and I think we need 9 points, but I maybe only see us getting 5 or 6 in our current form. So I do think we will miss out.
Charlie, if you think you need 66 to get in,
we need 3 wins.
Yeah, okay. What are you putting Forest City and Newcastle on then? Because Newcastle to get past 66 need 5 points?
Yeah, they need 2 wins basically.
Yeah, so you expect them to beat Southampton, yeah? So that's 64. Even if they get a couple of draws out the other, they're over the 60.
Yeah, so they'll beat Ipswich, and then I expect them to probably beat Everton at home.
Yeah.
Okay,
so then move on to Forest. On paper, would you agree Leicester and West Ham?
Look, Leicester for sure is definitely 3 points. West Ham away, you'd imagine it is with... You'd expect Forest to win that.
And Brentford then a point from one of the other 2 games.
Brentford at home is not as easy as I think maybe some people think it is. Brentford are decent.
Yeah, agreed. But would you expect at least 1 point in between Brentford and Palace?
If I was saying how many points do I think Forest get from Brentford, I'd say at least 1. Palace away is interesting. I could see Forest losing that, but then again, it depends if Palace are in the cup final or not, on what their priorities are and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's still going to be tricky. Even if we do get 3 wins from 5 and get 66 points, I'm not sure if Newcastle... I'm
just wondering if that's enough. Like, again, I'm talking on paper, but I would say, without my goggles on, Leicester and West Ham 6 points, and then a point from the other 3 games would put Forest on 67.
Yeah.
And with Newcastle, I'd say they should beat Ipswich. That puts them on 62. Brighton 63, maybe. Just say worst case scenario draw. You have to beat Newcastle.
Yeah, no, we do. We to be honest, mate,
their fixtures look tough. I didn't realize it was tough there.
Mate, I'd probably slightly revise that 3 wins. I think we could need 4 wins from those last 5.
Not if you beat Newcastle.
Well, that's what I'm. Yeah, this is my point though. Like, if we can beat Newcastle, then that
changes everything.
That makes things very interesting. But look, from Everton and Liverpool, we need 4 points. Well, ideally we need 6, but if we get 4 points from those 2 games, that's not bad. But if we beat Newcastle, that's a massive if. The record at St James's Park's not good, tough place to go and whatnot, and they're considerably better than us right now. But if we were to beat Newcastle, that would make the last 2 games very interesting, because I'd expect Chelsea to get at least the same points, if not more, than Newcastle, pick up in that weekend. Man United at home compared to Arsenal away. I'd expect Chelsea to get more points than Newcastle on that. Although if Arsenal have got a Champions League final, potentially that might make things a little bit different there. But then obviously I'd expect Newcastle maybe to do better on that final day than we do. So yeah, it's going to be
that, Charlie. But if Forest are safe,
well, yeah,
and say we win the FA Cup, we're on the piss for that weekend.
Yeah,
no, this is the Alliance, Wolfie. This is where the
Yeah,
Alliance
my
comes in.
Alliance,
Don't
bro.
make us come to Stamford Bridge
well,
and out Alliance teachers.
And you see,
That's the final day of the season.
No. I'm not talking about my alliance. I'm talking about what could technically happen.
Yeah,
I can't tell Marinakis what to tell the boys.
Because if Forest have already qualified for the Champions League, then obviously they want to finish the season at home on a high with a good result, of course. But
it won't matter because the FA Cup finals the weekend before.
They won't. It won't matter as much. So if we go to Forest and they have qualified for the Champions League, that makes that game maybe a little bit easier for us, and that's where these things are important. So, yeah, look, I still think we need 4 wins out of the last 6. But if we can get 4 points from Everton and Liverpool at home, and we somehow go and beat Newcastle, then that does make things very, very interesting.
I think as well, Charlie.
Off Villa.
Villa.
Yeah, I was going to say with Villa. I mean, the problem is if Chelsea and ourselves get a win against Ipswich and Everton, then Villa look in big trouble, don't they? They look in real big trouble because I think some of Villa's fixtures look particularly difficult. And the problem as well is, boys, we're looking at the percentages because I was just looking then thinking, how are we third favourite to get top 5? But then obviously those percentages change, don't they? Because if we beat Ipswich at home on Saturday, surely our percentage must go up.
We were 93.3.
Well, we were in the 80s. We were in the 80s before the Villa game, so we've dropped slightly because we lost that one. But look, for me, I think most Villa fans have admitted. I think Rich has said the same on his reaction. That the way it's looking right now, they're going to have to be flawless if they've got any chance of getting.
Yeah, they got to win. They got to win all 4, really.
And I don't think they will be. I think they're going to drop points in at least one of those games. Looking at
Bournemouth game, the dodgiest one.
Absolutely. But I even think Fulham at home, because let's be honest, boys. Fulham are fighting for Europe themselves. They're not far off 8th place, which can potentially get Europe this season. So they're going to be chomping at the bit for that. And Fulham are an annoying team at times to play. Marco Silva's a top manager, and will the added pressure of them needing to win cause them to slip up? I don't know, but I just can't see Villa being flawless between now and the end, and I just think they're going to need to if they've got any sort of chance. Like for me with Chelsea, like what you just said, Charlie, the next 2 are crucial for you because they're home games, and because you would because of Liverpool's situation. Like for me, if you're going to be in the mix, you have to win the next 2. If you drop any points in any of those 2 games, I think it's going to be you're going to be clawing back effectively because that game at St James's Park, you can guarantee, and Daz, Chris, you'll agree with this as well. We are going to ramp it up. We're going to ramp that up. Like there'll be war flags out. There'll be properly
12 p.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah.
They won't sleep the night before, mate.
All I need to know, Charlie, is please tell me you're going to that game.
No, mate, I might make alternative plans.
I need you.
I do enjoy Newcastle away, so I'll probably will be there.
I need you because you've had 100% record of losses up there.
Yep, three trips, 3 losses, mate.
We need that to continue. So please, all Newcastle fans.
Boys, this relies on that game, and I'm not trying to be the villain here or anything, but I think the winner of that game gets the final spot. Now, I'm not saying if Newcastle get it, you finish 5th. I'm just saying that's the decider. Yeah. It looks like it's lining up for that. Charlie's been trying to play this narrative of Forest Chelsea being the decider. I think it comes in that game.
With Newcastle though, Wolfie, how do you see those fixtures going, in your opinion? what we've got left.
I agree, Charlie. They get 3 to 4 points out of Everton and Liverpool. I think you get 4 points. I think you beat Ipswich and draw with Brighton. That would put, what's the gap between 2? So they could overtake you with a win. That's the scenario. And if they get ahead, it becomes pressure cauldron. I don't think they beat you, by the way. Your advantage is that you can take a draw from that game.
Yeah.
Brighton,
Now, does that change your mentality?
If it was at Stamford Bridge, I'd be much more confident.
Yeah.
But does anyone agree with me? That looks like a decider.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a standout one there for sure across all the fixtures.
Because if we go to Newcastle and win, then that really spices things up.
And the goal difference is the same.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, wow, this gets in. Who scored more goals?
It's exactly the same. No,
who scored more goals?
Newcastle has scored 4 more goals. We've conceded 4 less.
Do you know what else makes that game interesting? The fact that Chelsea, Newcastle, the fact that Forest and City have both got Southampton and Leicester.
Yeah.
That weekend is huge.
That's a huge
when
one.
you look across the 4. And by then, I think if Villa don't beat Bournemouth, then they're done. They're done as well. They'd need to beat Bournemouth.
I also think if Forest and Man City beat Brentford and Wolves, then
it could be done. I think they're both in.
We're both in.
Weekend, boys. May 11th, 10th, 11th could be the day.
Yeah, it is.
No, that is the big weekend.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, could actually be wrapped that because I've just looked across as you were saying it, Chris. That obviously Villa got Bournemouth away.
Yeah.
No guarantee they get points there, so they could be officially out the race then. And then, potentially, if we get, and this is the thing, Daz, Chris, jump in if you disagree. Like, I don't think we need to win at Brighton. I think we need to beat Ipswich. We need to at least come away with something from Brighton to put us in a strong position. If we win both, I'll be honest, lads, I think we bounce into Chelsea and we seal it for ourselves on that day. But I don't think we need. I think if we can get 4 points from those next 2, it sets us up for Chelsea quite nicely. It puts us still in the driving seat, depending on obviously what Chelsea do. But you'd expect one of them they possibly drop points, and then it sets us up for that game.
And do you know what? Do you know what's interesting as well, Pete? What you're saying about that? If we were to beat Ipswich and if we were to beat Brighton, so we got the 6 points, Chelsea then all of a sudden becomes don't get beat. Don't get beat. Because even if we draw against Chelsea, we'll have had the 6 points in the bag previously from Ipswich and Brighton. So we could just go into that game and just go, right, just don't get beat. And I think even that will be too much, because if we were to get, say, a point against Chelsea as well, that'll put us on 7 points, which we'll be on 66 after the Chelsea game. And then we've still got Arsenal away, which obviously won't be easy. But then we've got Everton at home. And I think it'd be done then. I think it'd be done.
Chris, I hear what you're saying, but I think even if you don't beat either Ipswich or Brighton, you're still in that same mindset. Don't lose to Chelsea. I can't see.
Yeah, you could argue that. Yeah,
I can't see the gap being more than 3 points or less than what it is now. Do you know what I mean? I see that as you probably both get 4 as a bare minimum. One of you may get 6, one of you may get 4. And that would still mean don't lose to Chelsea. Is there a way Chelsea could be ahead of you? If they won no, they'd be level with you, wouldn't they? So even if Chelsea win both
goal
games
difference,
and that you get 4 points,
it'd be level.
It would be. I'm telling you, the more we're discussing this, the more I feel this game is the game.
I mean, to be honest, as long as Newcastle don't lose to us at St James's, then I think they'd be pretty much there.
But does a draw let Villa back into it?
Not really.
If Villa beat Fulham, let's grant Villa beat Fulham and it puts them on 60.
Yeah, but Villa have played a game more, remember?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just ignore that. Put them on 60 and let's grant you both get 4 points. So that would put you on 63 and 61.
Yeah.
So if you draw 64, 62, they would win, go 63. That brings Villa back into it. But this isn't done. Whatever way we spin this, it's not done.
It's not done.
No, and those games for Villa at the end, Spurs and Man United, if they get in, well, if whether they get into the Europa League final or not, they'll They won't be.
I mean,
about that game.
we say Villa won't win all those games. Those games are very winnable.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Do you know what though, Charlie? I think people underestimate. I mean, Man United and Tottenham have been dreadful this season, no doubt about it. But with it being Villa, I still don't think that those two games will be a walk in the park. I would be shocked if Villa got 6 points from them 2 games. I'd be shocked because I expect either Man United or Spurs to turn up. They want to give the fans something before the end of the
No,
season.
it depends, Chris, because they've got the Europa League. Those 2 teams could be meeting in the final.
When's the final?
Maybe
It's after the season, isn't it?
Yeah, it's after the
I'll
season.
double check. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's
Tell you
after
what
this.
it'll be.
First.
I'll tell you what it'll be.
And this?
It'll probably be on the Wednesday after the season's finished. So like 3 days later.
2 seconds. I'll let you know. It is.
Oh, 25th, yeah. So 25th of May for Man United.
21st of May.
Oh, so,
Yeah,
so it's before the season ends.
Yeah,
Sorry,
because
it's before the season ends.
yeah, because we play Man United at home on May 16th. That's now changed to a Friday night game. So we play Man United home on the 16th, which is the Friday.
That's literally before their final.
And that Europa League final, if they're there, would then be on the Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Europa League final is basically the midweek before the last game of the season.
That's the old image.
And then the last image there,
It is.
Man U have got is that so Villa have got Man U last day of the season, 25th. That's
Take my
4
club's
days
name
after
out
We
your
all
your
want to
mouth.
see.
Take my club's name out your mouth.
How you doing, gorgeous?
Here we go.
What a
Sorry, guys,
rush.
I'm lying back a bit. My back is gone, man.
Well, I've got bellyache from having to wolf my food down because somebody told me, 6:30 tomorrow, mate. Brilliant.
Dan, I got the same message. I had that same message.
What, did it say tomorrow?
Yeah.
No. You don't.
Hold on.
Pete, there's a lot of things Peter said lately.
There's Pete's
Dan, I'm
number.
not gonna lie.
What time was it sent?
Yeah, my bad. It did say tomorrow, but I wrote it last night, so it's my bad. I apologize. But you're here.
Dan, as a neutral, how are you seeing this race then? With no
Yeah,
one,
throw
no
the
stake
initial
in the
for Dan.
fire.
Yeah, throw him off for him. See what he says.
Yeah, I think Villa have probably ballsed it up a little bit with the. I mean, what world are we saying? Villa ballsed it up at Man City. It's mad, isn't it? It shows out what the season's done. It's between Chelsea and Forest, isn't it?
You reckon?
Yeah.
Dan.
Really?
Dan.
The only reason,
Dan.
no, Wolfie. The only reason I say, mate, is because Chelsea will be playing. If we're in the final, that's 3 points. I mean, it's 3 points anyway with Man United, but it's free. It's 3 easy points. United will not, I repeat, not put out a squad against Chelsea 3 days before the Europa League final. If we get there, no chance. No chance.
Okay, but Dan, on paper, what are you seeing Forest get there?
See, Wolfie, Brentford are bloody dicey, mate, away from home.
Yeah.
Three. Oh, goodness me. I think you've got a minimum of 8 points there.
Okay, so that puts us on 68.
Yeah, I was going to say 7 or 8.
Chelsea have got. Actually, I haven't checked Chelsea's fixtures. So,
See, Dan, if you look at the third fixture for Chelsea and Newcastle,
yeah, that's
I
true.
think that's the decider.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Sorry, Charlie. I don't think Nicholas Jackson's saving you with this one, mate.
Nah, mate. No, he won't be. Mate, I said earlier, like I said, as soon as the January window closed, the Champions League was done for us. And the only way we get Champions League really is if we win all 5 of our last games.
Yeah.
So technically it is in our hands. But yeah, the chances of us doing that would appear slim to none. But then given how this season's gone, I can't 100% rule that possibility out.
You've been quite strict with it, though, Charlie. To be fair to you, you have said all the way through you don't see you getting Champions League.
Yeah.
Which is, it's just mad though, isn't it? Because in what world, Charlie, without being not doing this for the lols, but in what world could I potentially get Champions League and you don't?
Yeah, it's mental.
The seasons
It's
we've had, it's
absolutely mental.
bonkers.
Yeah,
Bonkers.
no, it's mad. It really is mad. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
That's my suitcase you can see in the background because Mrs. Robinson's fuming. I've come in, had my tea, and come straight up here.
So you ain't got your suitcase packed for Bilbao?
No, mate, it's packed for Scotland this weekend. I'm off with LB up to watch Queen of the South, actually. Yeah. I'm taking him up to Scotland to watch my Scottish team. I go up there. And
Where's
watch
my
them.
invite?
Whereabouts are you?
In Peterborough, but I was born in Scotland, mate.
Were you born in Scotland?
Yeah, Edinburgh.
Wait, I've not done Edinburgh. I go watch Queen of. Well, I'm obviously going to watch Queen of the
Mate,
South.
they've got like a plaque here. I was born outside, next to the castle.
See you in Braveheart, all right?
What division of Queen of the South? Like Scottish League One or
I
what?
don't know, man. I don't even know half the teams there.
Yeah, so third tier Scottish football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they win on their Saturday, they guarantee playoffs. So, oosh.
Massive.
Have we looked at this scenario here? Harry Foster's just put it on here.
Yeah, he's got some proper agenda against Forest, doesn't he?
Chelsea,
You can't even spell it.
What he said 5th, but he's actually said, in fact, they go.
I
6th.
just want to know who Forest are, to be honest.
You hate that, don't you?
He hates it.
It doesn't. I don't hate it.
Hey,
Just,
I remember when I
worry about the education
I
system.
remember I done a preview of Wolfie one time, right? And to save space in the title, I put Notts Forest instead of Nottingham Forest, right?
Don't go there.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
And obviously people from his channel come over and absolutely battered me in the comments for putting Notts Forest.
Yeah, they were all my Smurf accounts, mate. I apologize.
You can't refer to them as Notts Forest. That's Forest.
You can't, because Notts is the county.
They
So
get
you're calling them Nottinghamshire Forest, technically.
Yeah, very touchy about it.
Wolfie.
If you want to shorten it, just call it Forest or N. Forest
Wolfie.
or N apostrophe TTM, whatever it
No, I
is.
won't be making that mistake again.
Wolfie, I went onto your channel the other night for the Spurs game.
I saw you.
Mate, I'm telling you, your setup. Oosh.
Thank you.
Oosh.
What's all that tactics shit on it? Is that just an overlay?
Spending
That's all
spending the Champions League money on that, isn't he? Jesus.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
I finally got to my computer science degree.
Is that OBS?
There's a bit of OBS, bit of the old.
Why are you
magic
being
fingers
dodgy
doing
about
magic.
it?
It sounds like he's got this on, he's got it all on some dodgy hard drive that he
Yeah,
uses.
bit of this, bit of
All he needs now is a light bulb.
Brushed off my old programming skills from back in the day at uni. Yeah.
Because we're live, that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that popped up just before, Charlie, I'll let you address this situation. What's this all about?
Well, there's nothing to do with me, but yeah, I mean,
You put it into the chat.
one of Wolfie's star boys could be on the move. Well, I don't know. Wolfie, do we put a sell-on clause in the Hudson-Odoi deal?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent news. Well, this could be a little windfall for us potentially.
Do you think we'd get more than 3 million for him, Charlie?
Oh, absolutely, mate. Yeah, absolutely. To be fair, though, mate, you might not once we take our sell-on fee. So we might not take more than 3 mil.
But Wolfie, does that not concern you now? I know obviously Forest have got money if players come in and if players going, but is this not a little concern that now you've got the Champions League, looking like you've got it? Clubs are starting to circle now for players. And like Hudson-Odoi obviously hasn't started as many, but he's a great option, isn't he?
No, it actually pleases me, if I'm honest with you, because if your players are shit, ain't no one talking about them. So I don't mind it. It's a good sign of my players are doing well. Also, a lot of these players that are making the rounds are just players that have already signed contracts or about to sign new contracts. I get it. Contract is a piece of paper that can get torn up and what have you. But no, it doesn't really concern me. I think if there was I don't think Hudson-Odoi would go, by the way. I think he wouldn't leave Forest. Him, Elanga, and Ola Aina are just like...
Isn't Aina out of contract, though?
Again, Charlie, you've asked me this 1,000 times. Forest have
just want the clarity. Just want to.
okay for the 1,001 time. He has a plus. The club has a +1 on him. The only reason they haven't triggered it right now is because they want a longer contract than theirs, so they're just discussing the terms. So I got told by very senior people, don't worry about Ola Aina. He'll be at Forest next season. So I'm not worried about that. The one that's doing the rounds right now is Morgan Gibbs-White to Man City. LB and Daps and all that are getting really excited because apparently he was house hunting in Manchester, you know, in between the Spurs game and his other commitments. He had time to go house hunting in Manchester and
house hunting, did they?
Huh?
Did you get pictured house hunting?
Apparently, no, not even pictures. Just people that know LB and know Daps and all these people, you know, they told them that they saw Morgan was like putting an offer on a house and all this stuff. Yeah. Those ones. So they're getting excited by that. I don't think it would be a good move for him personally.
How much you get, Murphy?
Why not?
Forest have slapped 100 mil on him, but realistically speaking, I think it would be about 75. And I think Man City would pay that. If we got 75 for him, I'd do it.
How much?
So different to Billy. So different to Billy. Billy was telling us 120 million for Douglas Luiz, wasn't he?
I remember that.
Yeah,
100 million for
Duran. Billy was saying that.
100 million for Duran as well.
Apparently, everyone starts at 100 mil, then up, doesn't it, with Billy? But
why don't you think Morgan Gibbs-White would be a good move for City?
One, I don't think he guarantees a starting spot there. Secondly, I don't think he's a 10. I think he's an 8. Now, LB and that are telling me he would play as an 8. And thirdly, most importantly, I think a lot of the Forest team is built around his strengths. So he's not going to get that at Man City. He's going to be quite rotational. Now, if it's a case of does he think, because he's a bit like Pierce, he loves the idea of playing for England. It's like, that's probably his number one priority, which is fine. Each, person has their own motivations. If he thinks that going to Man City is more likely to get him an England call-up than at Forest, maybe that could sway him. He's also best mates with the likes of Phil Foden. I think he's the godfather to one of his children. So there's that connection. So apparently because you're best mates with Phil Foden, that means you're going to go and play with them, even though his actual best mate is Angel Gomez.
Wolfie, that works brilliantly for Liverpool because do you remember? Because I think this is played out perfectly. Jude's Trent's best mate. Jude's coming to Liverpool 2 years later. Trent's off to Madrid.
Well, technically, they are going to play together, aren't they? There's a lot of that. There's a lot of media hype. Look, we've had a lot of reports in the last 2 or 3 weeks of not only players being linked elsewhere, but players coming to Forest. Obviously, we've reported them because that's the news doing the rounds. I don't believe much of it. And I still go back to January where the mainstream media was saying Forest were going to put a record-breaking bid in to get Mateus Cunha from Wolves. I got told we're not interested in him. And now they're running the narrative of Callum. Same people. It was, what's his face? Darman, or what's his name?
Darmish.
Yeah, Darmish. He was the one saying for it. I got told we're not. And we weren't. So
End of the channel is right.
Forest is still loosely mentioned, but obviously it's proper United now with Cunha. But
because that's not a real narrative, Charlie.
No,
like the guys I know in the club, I'm talking senior level. We're not going for him. I'm like, please go for him. It's like, what are you thinking? Man? Go for him.
Yeah, but we need him. Dan does make a good point though. Like, I'm not saying it will happen this summer, but we've seen it traditionally, right? When an unfancied team does well, they rarely get a chance to push on because the team gets picked off. We've seen it so many times with Dortmund. We've seen it with that Monaco team that did really well in the Champions League one year. You see it so often. Now, I'm not saying that Forest can't go and replace these players and potentially go again, but it becomes harder and harder to do that. I mean, I'm not saying maybe this summer, but certainly after a season in the Champions League, if next season you don't do as well, maybe it's a Conference League or no Europe at all, do you worry that the likes of Murillo, Milinkovic, some of your more established top players will get off?
I hear what you're saying, but I think every club has that. You see in Real Madrid coming and knocking on Liverpool's door whenever they want, yeah? You're seeing all these Isak links outside of Newcastle. This is just part and parcel of football. Forest can now knock on Brentford's door. We've been linked to Visser heavily, and I think he will come to Forest.
Did for him before in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one that gets done in the summer. So we can now, if there's going to be the knocks from, I don't know, Real Madrid wanting Murillo or whatever, we have more doors we can knock on now. So this is part and parcel of football, man. So you should never get overly attached to any football player. I learned that the hard way of Stan Collymore when he went to Liverpool. So it is what it is.
Doesn't work for us, mate. Can't get fucking rid of them.
Yeah, it's a good point. Someone in the chat mentioned Bournemouth. They're going to get picked off this
They're
summer.
going to get ripped apart.
big time.
Like,
They're getting ripped apart.
Who realistically is being taken from Bournemouth then? Who are the players?
Kirkes, Hoyson, and Semenyo. Those three will all go.
I'd be surprised if Kluivert's still there.
And maybe Kluivert as well.
Yeah, and the manager, Charlie. The manager might go.
Depends what.
Who are they going to then? Who are those players? And
apparently Spurs think they can get him. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
Spurs won't get. I don't think Spurs would get Iriola.
You don't think?
I don't think Semenyo goes. I don't think Semenyo goes. No, only because I think Hoyson's going to go because of his contract.
Yeah,
and Kirkes has to go because he's just too good, isn't he? But I think they hold on to Semenyo because we were talking about Semenyo, weren't we, boys? Saying that he's got a few years left on his deal. I think they'll ask for too much and people just won't pay.
Yeah, they're already saying that like Bournemouth would want as much as like 70 or 75 million for Semenyo.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it doesn't matter what they want. Yeah, it doesn't matter what they want. It's will the player's head be turned? I don't think I've said this before. I don't think it's about clubs need to sell for money. I think that kind of narrative is gone unless you're a relegation club that's just come up or whatever. The rest of the clubs, it's do they want to sell a player overpriced so they can maybe bring in 2 or 3 players, or does the player have his head turned and he wants to leave? Now, in Bournemouth's case, even with the manager Iriola, would I rather manage Spurs with a decent stadium, free Beyonce tickets and all that, or managing a bike shed down on the south coast? So I can see Bournemouth getting absolutely ripped open this summer. I think Kirkes goes... Huh?
They'll lose 2 or 3.
But these are key players, Charlie. These are key players to them. Now, the question for Bournemouth is, can they then replace it with lesser-known players like they've done in the past? I don't think that's a sustainable model. Seen it before at Southampton.
Brighton model.
The Brighton model, look where they are this season.
You can't get away with it every season because it does catch up with you. I mean, Brighton, in fairness to them, are probably one of the only clubs who most summers will sell 1 or 2 of their top players, and they somehow seem to find replacements who seem to do as well or close to as well, sometimes better. But we've seen it with Southampton, as Wolfie said. Like, it's very, very difficult to do it. You might be able to do it 1 or 2 seasons on the spin, but that shit catches up with you, and eventually you'll just become a mid-table team, or you'll go down because you just can't keep finding those players.
This might be an unusual season or an unusual summer for Brighton because normally, as you said, Charlie, and you're normally the beneficiaries of this, where their best player ends up getting sold.
A manager.
A lot of money, but you're looking at Brighton this summer, and I don't think there's anyone or not many players in that team that will go for big money that teams will spend a hell of a lot of money on.
There is.
You're looking at 2 or 3 I reckon, Pete. I think you're looking at Joao Pedro. I think you're looking at Rutter,
Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, but it's not
you're looking at Baleba.
It's not nailed on like normally.
Like, it's not nailed on. No,
nailed on. He's 100% leaving in the summer.
I would love to agree with you, but Matoma's probably going to go to. They rejected Matoma 90 mil to Saudi, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Al Nassr will have another look at Matoma.
Yeah, there's talks that link's still there. They're getting away with it. I think they get away with it one more season in terms of sales, especially if Chelsea stop buying their players. That would be good. But I think once this team if they lose their key players this summer, I think Brighton are going to just hover somewhere above relegation.
Their managers not have the impact I think they were
exactly.
Yeah, I'm not impressed. I haven't been impressed by him.
No,
I think
he's done a couple of purple patches.
He's done all right.
Patches. But you have to say that they beat you 3 times, didn't they?
No, we beat them 4-2 at Stamford Bridge.
But they knocked. What did they do? They knocked you out the cup. That was
they beat us twice at the Amex. But
knocked us out the cup as well.
I don't know. But like, I think what we will see as well this summer maybe is a lot more Premier League business between Premier League clubs. There'll be a lot more business than perhaps we've traditionally been used to seeing. I think we'll see a lot of clubs picking off players from within the league this summer.
Yeah.
Like much more so than normal.
Yeah.
There has to be, because teams need to balance the books, and obviously players need to be shifted on from a lot of clubs this summer. You know, we're going to be looking at that from our perspective with a couple of squad players, and you know there are actually maybe one or two players around in the league, maybe in the lower parts of the league, that teams are interested in. And look, this is one that I bring to you boys, because at least 3 of the clubs out of the 4 on this panel are interested in this boy. Maybe you as well, Wolfie. But the question is, like, who's going to get this man? Because this came out today. From one of our Newcastle reporters, Luke Edwards. Newcastle looking to be in for Liam Delap this summer. Man United have been heavily linked with him. Chelsea have been heavily linked with him. We've been linked with him since back in October, but I don't know how close it is from your perspectives, Charlie and Dan, with regard to that. I don't know, Wolfie, even if you've been linked with him, but he's one player that most teams would pick out and want to take. Who do you, I'm going to put it out to all of you. Who do you think is getting him?
We're not. He won't. I don't think we're getting. I don't think we get him. And actually, someone commented before. I genuinely, because of where we are going to the well to get the water this season, we're at the back of the queue. I'm telling you. When I see Jamie Vardy on a free, I'm taking Jamie Vardy. I don't care. Don't care if I'm laughed at for it. He knows what he is. He'd be an impact player. We need someone up there that we don't have to pay much money for. I would happily take it. I don't think Delap would come to United. I don't think he'd be interested.
But I think if you win the Europa League, though, and you're in a Champions League, that does give you that gives you a better chance.
Yeah, but I mean, but at the same time, we're all not naive enough to know this. But these players will already be thinking about where they're going. And do you think Delap's going to say, "Well, do you know what? I'll hang on for United because they might get Champions League"?
No, probably not.
He'll be listening to all of the offers from all the clubs like Newcastle, like Chelsea. I just don't see a world where he comes to United. If he does, I'm buzzing, but I don't see it happening.
The advantage you've got though, Dan, is that you look at Man United, particularly in the striker department, and if I keep saying Bobby Delap, if Liam Delap goes to Man United, he's the main guy. He's the main man. He's playing through the middle, guaranteed, week in, week out. If he goes to Newcastle, he knows he's got Isak in front of him. You could argue the same for Chelsea, because I'm sure he'll probably start ahead of Nicholas Jackson. Same with Forest.
I worry.
He's got a bit more
about
competition.
him now. I worry if he comes to United. I just worry we destroy the kid. We destroy him. Like, we're not. Yeah. He doesn't want. At his age, where he should be developing now, Manchester United is the worst club he can go to, because you've got the pressure of scoring goals, which, I mean, he's scored a few this season. You've got the pressure of at his age taking all of the weight of expectation from what Manchester United want from him. I think it'd be the worst. If I was his advisors, look, I want him, but if I was his advisors, I'd be telling him to steer clear of United. It would be the worst decision he could make. Go to someone like Chelsea. Sorry? Do you think
Hammond would want a player like Delap? I mean, we've spoken about Delap, and he's a talented lad, but is he the kind of player? Is it kind of
he's aggressive, mate. He's aggressive, and I think that's what he wants. He wants players who are going to fight. I just don't. I think it'd be the worst. It'd be career suicide for him. Absolutely.
He's overrated.
Well,
I think he's overrated.
I was just about to say, it wouldn't surprise me if in 12 months after him being at United, we'd be saying, they've got Højlund and Delap. How bad are them pair? It wouldn't surprise me.
Is he another Evan Ferguson? Because Evan Ferguson burst on the scene, didn't he? And Evan Ferguson's kind of regressed a little bit, and he's had a couple of loan spells which haven't quite worked out. But like, he's another one. I mean, will Brighton keep hold of him next season? He could be a cheaper option, perhaps.
Yeah, Chris, it's exactly like, do you remember last season with Luton? I forgot the guy's name.
Morris.
It was like Adebayo.
Sorry.
Adebayo?
Yeah, there was a lot of hype and talk about him scoring the goals. He's still Luton fighting a relegation battle now, I think, in the Championship.
Yeah, they're struggling big time.
Yeah. I just think
get relegated, which is wild.
Hilarious,
It's not
by the way.
why
Hilarious.
I feel
That
Delap
happens more often than not. That does. That
Yeah.
happens more often than not. Clubs go down twice.
But
Well,
Delap will be a very good signing for someone because you look at him, he's like 22, he's physical, he's got that box presence, he's a nuisance. You know, he scored 12 goals in a poor Ipswich side.
Yeah.
£30 million and not ridiculous wages for a striker with a high upside is a very, very good deal in this market. So you can understand why multiple Premier League clubs are interested in him. But ultimately for him, it's going to come down to what European football's on offer and where he's got the best chance of developing and the best chance of probably playing the most minutes. Now, if I was Delap, I don't really know what I'd do. I mean, if Newcastle have got Champions League football, that's a very, very attractive move and would be a very good move for him. I look at a team like Aston Villa. Villa could, in theory, sell Ollie Watkins and they could activate the £40 million buy option with Marcus Rashford and they could sign Rashford and Delap for £70 million combined, which again might be quite good business for them. That's two totally different strikers, but you know, two good alternatives to have.
Rashford's not a striker, though, Charlie.
No, I know, but he has played him down the middle, though.
Which is wrong. Which is wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's a bad player, Delap. I'm just saying he's not ready to lead the line in the Champions League.
He's not. No, he's absolutely not.
I actually think he would do well at like maybe a Brighton or something like that as the next step.
Yeah. He doesn't need to lead the line in the Champions League. No, if he comes to just say, for example, Chelsea and Newcastle get it, or Forest or whoever gets Champions League football, say us, for example, and he gets Champions League, he doesn't have to be leading the line week in, week out of the Champions League. But what he can do is be nurtured by a very, very good manager that makes players better. We all know he's not he's not the finished article, Liam Delap, but he's got raw potential there. For me, him and even Ferguson, it's not even a conversation because he's already eclipsed even Ferguson in what he's already achieved in this one season. He's put double figures on the board in a team that doesn't create a lot of chances. For me, that shows his potential. A manager like Eddie Howe could, without doubt, benefit him and make him a better player. And coming off the bench in the Champions League, watching what Isak does, learning from one of the top strikers in Europe and watching his movement in the way he plays can only be a good thing for him. And, you know, Isak's not going to be at Newcastle forever. And if he does go and he learns off him for a couple of years, you've got a natural transition there. But it'd be what's that?
It's not a bad. I've just realised 12 goals in 32 Premier. That's not a bad stat, is it?
Not bad at all.
But all their goals are coming through him.
My only concern.
I hear what you're saying, but my counter to it is, if I'm Delap, I've scored 12 goals in the Premier League. My next move isn't to bench warm because that's how his mindset will be, I think. Right, so I could see him going to Manchester United, and I agree with what Dan's saying on him going there. But there's a space there. He could go to a Chelsea. I actually think he ends up at Chelsea. If I'm being honest with you, I think that seems to just have that feel of a Chelsea signing, that age profile, and what he is, and he's got a bit of improvenness to him. I can't see him going to Newcastle, and if I do, I'd be questioning where's his kind of trust in his own ability. I don't think he's ready to lead the line at Newcastle or a Man City or whatever. But you got to remember, strikers need to have arrogance about them. I would want my striker to come into the club saying, you know, if he went to Newcastle, I would want him to come in and say, I'm replacing Isak. That's why I'm here.
Then Wolf,
you know, I mean, they have to have that arrogance.
Just looking at Forest, then, so you're going to be in Europe in some capacity, probably Champions League, and you have Woodinho there leading the line, but you're going to need someone else. We said the answer for you guys.
Visser scores a lot of goals for me, but he doesn't excite me. No. I don't know if that makes sense. He's like 20. I think he's going to be 29 in summer. He's bagging goals. I just think I would rather, for me, I think we can get another 6 to 9 months out of Wood before he probably picks up, hopefully not, but picks up some injuries, etc. At that age, you got to expect it. I would like to see, I mean, Delap would work out Forest because there's a transition clear path for him, right? Wood is here now. You're going to overtake. He's the number one, but you go and prove it. A profile like that would suit Forest. You guys are starting to convince me towards Delap. I just don't think he's it. I don't think he's it. I I've just seen too many of these relegation strikers who haven't then kicked on and made it. That's my thing with it. Big fish in a small pond becomes a small fish in a bigger pond kind of thing.
My only concern with Delap would be, like, if you look at how teams play against Ipswich, everyone plays on the front foot against them. So a lot of his best moments have come on the counter attack, on transition. If he goes to a Newcastle or he goes to a Chelsea or whatever, the majority of teams will sit deep and play a low to mid block against these kind of sides. Has he got that adaptation in his game?
Charlie Forrest, perfect for him.
Where he can play and be effective against that type of team that will set up that way, in terms of can he be effective against low blocks? Can he, or is the way that teams play against Ipswich, does that get the best out of him potentially? I don't know.
But Charlie, no, and I think it's a really valid point what you just made. But you look at every team on this panel and every team that's pretty much linked with him, they're going to come up against the low block next season.
But yeah, for sure.
Whether it's Chelsea, Newcastle, Forest haven't this season, but Forest will be up against low blocks next season because they will be Champions League or Europa League level Forest, and teams will look at them differently and teams will set up to stop that counter-attack. You look at what's happened to West Ham. West Ham were very much a counter-attacking team. Once they've stopped that low block, there wasn't anything else, and now you've seen them slip down the table. So all of our teams will be up against a low block. So it doesn't matter which team he goes to, he's going to suffer that anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of our point, though. Can he adapt to that? I'm not saying he can't, by the way, but that would be maybe one concern of adapting to that type of football. But I think, he would make a great option for a Chelsea, for a Newcastle, for an Aston Villa or a Man United or whoever it is, and people say, oh yeah, he's going to want to start. But football's very much a squad game these days, perhaps more than it's ever been. You need more than just look, Isak, like we were saying in the chat today, he's not going to play 90 minutes every single week. Yeah, he's probably going to start more games than Delap will, but this idea that Delap wouldn't get serious minutes at Newcastle, I don't know where it comes from. He'd get decent minutes at Chelsea as well, He'd get decent minutes at Villa, he'd get decent minutes at United, This idea that if he goes to one of these clubs and he's just going to sit on the bench and he's not going to play much. Yeah, of course you want him to have that ambition to be the main man, but he will play serious minutes at all these teams.
Yeah.
Also, boys, as another thing, like obviously we're approaching a bit of a weird window this year as well, aren't we? Because we know that isn't there a window that ends at the end of June?
Yeah, there's two windows. There's one that's open for 10 days before the Club World Cup, and then it's shut for 10 days or whatever. Then the actual transfer window opens. So it's a bit weird.
Certainly for PSR, concerns, and Dan will probably like this, the likes of Villa. If Villa weren't to get Champions League football, there's a high chance that Villa need to kind of scrape some money together in order to ensure that they do meet the PSR. I'm only mentioning Villa because I know that Villa, have kind of maxed out with the wages and stuff like that.
They've explored selling their women's team as well, Villa. Yeah.
So there could be some bargains to be had for that as well.
Trendsetters.
Maybe Chelsea swoop in and take Watkins from them.
Watkins is a striker who will be available this summer. Dan, would you take Watkins at United?
For Rashford, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I'd happily do that.
Would you do it straight? No cash involved, player for player.
Think of it this way, right? We got a striker that can score goals. He's not going to come on for 375 grand. We're letting go of someone who his time is up at Manchester United, and we're getting rid of 375 grand a week. It's win-win for me. It won't happen.
Yeah. Interesting.
Pete, would you take Watkins at Newcastle?
We would never sign him, but I would take Watkins at Newcastle as an alternative to Isak. I think they're probably one of the best strike partnerships in the league if we manage to add him there.
I would not take him at Forest, man. He's gone.
You got to remember though, boys, it's happened. I said this had happened with Rashford going there, unsettling. I know Billy said that he's injured and he's not really as bothered as people make out that Watkins is being dropped. But Watkins was fuming in that statement after the Newcastle.
Yeah, mate, he's pissed.
He was fuming.
Watkins is done at Villa. I think it's obvious. Like if Emery can get a striker that he wants, he'll happily get rid of Watkins.
I mean,
I don't think Rashford stays either. I think Villa could potentially not have a forward next season, and they've got to go and get a new one. So Delap could end up at Villa because I don't think I'm not entirely convinced that Rashford stays at Villa, and really not, particularly if they don't get Champions League.
Still got 3 years left, so he's still got a few years left on his contract. So it's not like you can get him on the cheap. But yeah, I agree. I think he's
Watkins would be available this summer for sure.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal would go back in for him.
He needs a striker, don't he?
I don't. It depends what their plans are. Like if they're dead set on Gyökeres, then maybe not. But if they can't get Gyökeres right, and the alternatives are Watkins or Sesko, I'd say that Watkins would be a better signing than Sesko for Arsenal.
I agree. I'm not overly sold on Sesko. I've got to be honest. I'm not overly sold on him.
I need to see a bit more. Like he's still very raw, but again, if you're Arsenal, and you're looking to bring in someone to win you the title potentially.
They need proven. You're
not going to bring Sesko in to spearhead a title charge. Whereas if you signed Ollie Watkins could be a signing which might take Arsenal over the line.
I think Arsenal will go all out for Gyökeres. I think.
And I would back them to be maybe favourites to get him, unless Liverpool may be going for him. Although I still got a feeling that Gyökeres could end up at Barcelona as a Lewandowski replacement.
I thought you were going to say us then, Charlie. I was going to say absolutely fucking no chance.
No.
I know that you've already bought like 9 players according to reports, man. I've heard Cunha's there, Osterman's there, new keepers.
Ornstein's come out and said no, hasn't he? He said that United are actually interested in
Osterman,
in Osterman. Do you know something? I'm if we get the right striker next season, I'll be buzzing. I'm not saying we'll fix our problems, but I want to see a striker. I want to see someone that can put the ball in the back of the net. I want to see something that excites me.
What are your thoughts on Cunha? I know it's not done yet, and you think that you're pleased with that?
Absolutely love it. For the system we play, I think he is absolutely perfect.
When he plays a 10,
he's
10.
100%. He's been flirting with United since December. We all know this. You know, you saw after the game at Old Trafford this week, he was arm in arm with Amorim. He's not behind me when they were down the tunnel. Very very complimentary to the crowd.
He's gone to Scotland as well.
Yeah, he's off to Scotland.
I think Liverpool make a move for Cunha. You know, so you want to get that wrapped up quick. I think it's
done. I genuinely. The thing is, we need to remember Fabrizio Romano. As much as he's turned into a bit of a tapping merchant recently, when he sort of tweets about things, I tend to get excited then because I know there's something there. I think this will be done. It wouldn't surprise me if it's done before the end of the season. I mean it. I wouldn't say. I'm not saying. Sorry.
Do you think you ruin him?
I hope, Wolfie. I hope not. I've got to go into next season with some optimism, and I hope he is the start of players coming in that will. Because you got to remember, Cunha works hard. He's a workhorse as well. I think he's just perfect for us.
Yes, I agree.
Perfect.
Do you think 62.5 mil is good value?
I think it's cheap.
I know it's hard to say what value is in the market these days, but 62.5 mil, 25 years old, I think that's pretty good value. Yeah,
it is.
I think Cunha's that player that I don't think, with like a Højlund and a Xerxes where they're kind of stepping up. Cunha's already played at Atletico Madrid, so he knows what it's like to play at that sort of level and those expectations. I think he's the type of character that will relish playing for Man United, and I think he'll massively improve the team. I do agree with Chris, though. I actually think he's better suited to a Liverpool playing in that false 9. And
I disagree. I think that Amorim formation is designed for him.
But I do think Man United are desperate to get this deal done, and I think they'll probably.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be annoyed when it happens, Dan.
United wouldn't show their cards like this. They dumb it down. They wouldn't show their cards like this. They wouldn't. They completely quell it because you got to remember a lot of these reporters. They're in with the United lot. They let they release a lot of information to these boys. I think it's done. I genuinely do. If it isn't, I'd be absolutely gutted because I think he's just perfect for us. Perfect for us.
Are you still getting Gokares, Wolfie?
Still on the cards.
When did Wolfie say that? I must have missed that.
Oh, I've seen a
Oh.
few vids. I've seen a few
Well,
vids.
firstly, I didn't say those exact words, Chris. I'm coming up. But
Who's the
Forest
gentleman,
are
Chris?
gentleman now, eh? Who's the gentleman now?
No, it's a complete mistake from Chris. There's no malice intended behind it. Right?
So you've never mentioned Gyökeres to Forest?
Well, if you could let me finish my sentence, Charlie, I'll tell you, Forest have inquired with Gyökeres,
Yes,
and there have been discussions between Forest and Gyökeres. So watch this space.
Well,
Do we get him?
Gyökeres or Visa?
If we
mean,
got
that's-
Gyökeres, then put us down for winning the league.
That's a statement.
Yeah.
If you got Gyökeres,
You
that
got
would be the same shock value for me as when West Ham got Tevez and Mascherano.
Yeah.
Remember that? When that just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That would be the same shock for me. That was.
I wouldn't put it past Marinakis, right? If anyone's going to do it, it'd be Marinakis, right?
We're all
Do you
laughing.
think you'll make a big signing this summer, Wolfie? Like,
Yeah.
what's your transfer record at signing?
Like 35 mil. So it's not
sure.
going to be hard to break.
Do you reckon you'll smash that this summer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
we got
if
money this
Gibbs White
summer.
goes. Especially if Gibbs White goes.
Yeah, if Gibbs White goes, then we got a war chest. So
We're all laughing, but his owner is mad enough to
No.
Yeah.
I would respect the ambition if they even go for it.
Yeah,
If they even try.
they've tried. They've had conversations with his reps and everything. It's like legit. It's happened. This isn't one of those newspaper stories. This one has happened. But I don't think we'll get him. Let's be real. But we've also tried to speak to Osman as well. So this is where Marinakis' head is at.
I could see that. Tell
Yeah.
you,
Yeah, I can.
I can see that.
Because like
That'd be
he's
class,
tight
man.
with Ola Einar as well. There's
They're
Taiwo at the
both
club.
Nigerian, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. So as I would take Osman, don't get me wrong, but it's an AFCON year coming up next season, which I've got bad memories from last year. So, but for Osman, yeah, I'd bend my AFCON rule.
Well, I think I reckon Osman almost certainly ends up in Saudi. I think it'll go there.
I just
Only
think
26.
it's something Marinakis would pull off. I really do. Like, if no one's going to pick him up because of his wages or something, I think Marinakis will say, fuck it, I'm going to have a swing at it. Let's see what happens.
I'm not sure Osman wants to go Saudi yet.
No,
Okay.
mate, you'd be surprised. Like,
He's sure to go.
like
He-
if you see what Ben
You've
Jacobs
seen Ronaldo's new
and what-
contract, Charlie.
and what Ornstein has said as well. Like, the feeling within the Premier League clubs is that he's going to Saudi Arabia.
Mm.
Did you see Ronaldo's new contract? It's
Oh, yeah,
like
it's mental, mate.
171 million a year. He earns about £5.45 for second.
Mate, it's like 3 million a week, mate. It's mental.
Yeah. Madness. But
Almost,
look, boys,
almost as much as me. Almost as much as me.
Mm.
I think we might have a couple of questions we can throw at you boys before we start to wrap up. I want to get your predictions on just a few select fixtures for this weekend, just before we wrap up. But any questions that we can ask the boys? I think there's a few actually.
Yeah, there is. I'll put them in. There's literally one that's just come in actually, and this one's for you, Dan. It's from Tom Dixon, and he says, for Dan, do you think Man United win the Europa League? Watching your opponents last night, and they look a decent side.
They played Las Palmas, who are 18th in the Liga. They won 1-0. It was a very even game. Look, it's Europa League. I think I say this for I think everyone is in the same position as me. We could quite easily go and scum that competition. It wouldn't surprise me with how bad we've been this season. It genuinely wouldn't surprise me. The big thing for us is they reckon Diallo's back for the second leg of that game, which is massive for Manchester United.
Yeah.
De Ligt's
Yeah.
back as well. It seems like we're starting to get a bit of a squad back together. Obviously, the only problem is you got Rasmus Højlund leading the line. So it's gonna be a tight game, Bilbao. I think I genuinely think if we beat Bilbao, I think we'll win the competition. I do, because I think they're the best team left in the competition
Where's the first leg?
at their place,
Oh, it's at their place. Okay.
which is better for
It always,
us.
Charlie, why are you asking? It's always the right way around for Man U, these legs. Always.
I've learned.
Would you take, Dan, would you take this £30 million for Højlund that your boys have slapped the price tag on him for?
30 M's.
I'd take
Where's-
a tenner.
who's-
I'd take a tenner and a froob. for him at the moment, mate. I'm telling you.
Is Nico Williams out injured for long, by the way?
First leg, I think.
It's just so. This is the way they scumbag these trophies, man. It really. I can see it happening.
Did Sankret go off injured as well?
It's a knock, isn't it? They reckon. It's only a knock.
Yeah, I think he's one of their top scorers this season. He went off, so they're worried about him as well. Which is it's classic Man U, isn't it? Look at that smile on his face. Look at
it's sickening. It's
smile.
Sickening. Can you imagine a world where you have to pick between Spurs and Man U, my two most hated Premier League
That
teams?
could be one of the most criminal European finals ever. Man United versus Spurs, like 15th against 17th.
And why did they get a Champions League?
Champions League.
Why? That's not right.
Doesn't it make a mockery of Europe as well? The fact that the Premier League's 13th and 14th or 14th and 15th place clubs are in the final of the Europa League. It's mental. I love
it. It should not be for Champions League. It should not be for Champions League. That's the mockery.
It's always been the way, though, hasn't it? It's always been.
I mean, but they changed the rules. No one dropped down.
Yeah, no one drops down now.
Yeah. That's what's making the mockery of it. I know Dan does it. He's looking at me. I don't care.
No, you wouldn't care at all. But the Europa League is infinitely easier to win now than it was before. But no one cares about that. All you see is the trophy winners, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. But
did the Europa ones then fall into the conference?
Yeah, they used to, but they don't anymore.
Well, you can't talk then.
I wasn't saying anything.
Yeah, Charlie, we'd have been playing you, mate.
Yeah, we would have done. Yeah.
Should look at that Club World Cup with Chelsea in it because they won something 4 years ago.
No, Champions League 3 years ago we're in.
brown envelopes, and you're in.
Mate, it's big money for that Club World Cup.
Yeah, no.
Any other questions for these boys?
Winners?
I've got a couple for Charlie. So Charlie, Genius Divine Aldum says, Charlie, Madueke, is he up for sale this summer? Do you reckon?
Quite possibly. I wouldn't sell him, but if the right offer comes in at Chelsea's valuation, I think they would accept it. So I think it's one to watch, but.
What's the fee? What's the fee?
I don't really know. He's obviously got several years left on his contract, which is no surprise. And he's an England international now. He's 23. He's had a good season. He's developing nicely. You're probably looking at upwards of 50 million.
50 million?
Well, yeah. Well, mate, we signed him for 29 mil. He's now an England international. He's a Chelsea regular.
Okay, Man U signed Højlund for 72 mil. He's now worth 30 mil, just because of what you paid for him at the time.
No, yes, but Madueke's actually got better, whereas Højlund.
What's he done this season?
Mate, I'm saying that he's improved this season. He's an England international now. That he probably is worth.
What's his GA this year?
I think he's got
worth 50 mil, but you'll ask for that.
Whether he's worth 50 mil or not. What I'm saying is, in the market, that is probably around what he was going for.
If he's worth 50 mil, then I'm sorry, Billy is right with his valuations of players. I'm recanting my 75 on Gibbs White. He's worth about 300 mil.
How much is Hudson-Odoi worth with a year left, Wolfie?
I would have thought Hudson-Odoi is about 35. And he's better than Madueke.
Madueke this year has got 15 GNA in 34 games. All comps.
No. Give me Prem.
7 and 1.
11 GNA in 27 games.
Yeah, but 3 of those goals came against Wolves.
Yeah, he's got 7 goals.
And that's 50 mil. And that's 50 mil. Yeah, I think Harry Maguire's got better GNA than him.
Yeah, but what we're not factoring in here, guys, is English tax. English tax hikes.
Harry Maguire is English.
So I'm not saying that he's worth that. What I'm saying is,
are, because you were the one who was asked what's he worth. You said 50 mil.
Yeah, based on what the market's like. Yeah,
I get you, Charlie. I get you.
Yeah. At least someone understands. Yeah.
And another one, Charlie, and this lad's rose to prominence recently, hasn't he?
He's only scored 2 less than Jackson in the league, hasn't he?
God, man. If I hear Lewis talking about this guy again, man, I swear to God.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about George. So, what are your thoughts on him? And does he start at the weekend as well?
And how much is he worth?
Nah, I don't think he does start at the weekend. I don't think we should be putting him in that position of pressure. You know, he's 18, 19. He's obviously been promoted into the first team squad this season. And he's done well. He's made an impact from the bench in recent weeks. And I think that's his role for the remainder of the season, coming on with about 15, 20 minutes left, offering something different. So I personally wouldn't start him this weekend, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Right. Okay, mate. Yeah. I've got Wolfie. I know you've got to shoot, mate. I've got two very, very quick questions for you, mate. Now we know that Dan will be keen on Vardy. So my first one is: would you take Jamie Vardy?
No.
No.
He's like 38 going on 39.
For the year?
Not even to wind up the left.
No,
Mate,
I've got no interest in Vardy.
I'd take him for a year.
I'd rather have Lee Chappie. He looks like Vardy. I'd rather put him on. He's a little bit younger, but no, Vardy's gone, man. Let him go to the MLS football, whatever he's going to do. Chappie's already messaged me trying to figure out if you can get a green card for America, you know, for the lookalike stuff over there. So, no, I would not take Vardy. No, thank you, man.
And Wolfie, another one. Walsey says, Wolfie, yes or no? Honest answer here. Did you want us to win the League Cup?
Yes, at the time, but before it, when I thought you could get, when we may not have got Champions League, I needed the position in the league.
That's fair. That's fair.
Wolfie, just before you go, I just want us to go through the predictions. So looking at obviously, I want you to give me your FA Cup prediction in a second, but there's a few big fixtures
about that.
And 12:30 kickoff, Chelsea against Everton. Wolfie, what are you going for?
1-1.
Okay. Wolfie, I'm going to come to you at St. James's Park, Newcastle against Ipswich. What are you going for?
3-1.
Okay, 3-1. Thursday, the 1st of May, Forest against Brentford. What are you going for?
1-1.
1-1. And lastly for you, FA Cup semi-final against Man City. What are you going for?
0-0 penalties.
Wolfie, I'm going to promise you now, I'm going to get LB absolutely mullered on Saturday. So when he has to watch that game on Sunday, he is going to be hungover to hell. And
Good man.
He will be absolutely miserable for that, mate. You watch
Thank you,
the
Dan.
first ever throw up on live stream. I'm telling you.
Oh my God, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. I think the only way we beat them is on penalties.
But haven't you won like 3 of your rounds on pens
What do
anyway?
you think I'm saying penalties?
Yeah.
The only penalty shootout we've lost in recent times was to Newcastle.
Yeah. In the Carabao.
Yeah, if we'd won
We're at
that
that
one,
game.
then you'd still be trophyless, and we should have won that one. Let's be honest.
Thank you. Thank you is what we can
You're
say.
welcome.
Wolfie,
I got to jump off, boys.
top
but
man.
Good to
take
see
care.
you all.
Take care,
I'll
Wolfie.
see you guys in a bit.
Cheers, Wolfie.
Legend,
mate.
man.
Nice one.
Boys, whilst we're here, let's have a look at these fixtures. And so Wolfie's given his predictions for this weekend. Let's work our way. We'll work our way through each fixture. We'll go through and give our opinions on this. So I'm looking at the screen now, so I'm working bottom up. So Dan United, Chelsea against Everton. What you go for, mate?
1-0 Everton.
Ooh.
Seriously, no, Charlie. There's substance behind that. I just think Everton, the way that they set up, I think they'll be tough for you, mate. I do. The way they
will be tough.
I can see them sneaking a goal. I honestly can.
Charlie, what you right to reply? What's your
I
prediction?
think we'll go a narrow 2-1.
Okay, narrow 2-1. Chris.
Yeah, same. I think 2-1 Chelsea.
Okay, Daz.
1-0 Chelsea.
Okay, I'm going to go 1-1.
Just remember my Joe Hendry moment, Pete. I've got it up here, mate.
Yeah, to be fair, your predictions were absolutely spot on. Hopefully, in terms of that result, I hope it's the same. Right, next one. St. James's Park, Newcastle against Ipswich. Dan, what are you going for?
4-0. 4-0 Newcastle. I think they'll obliterate them. I think they'll obliterate them.
Take that.
You've just come off the back of a really, really tough result. I think they'll be up for it, especially at St. James's as well. They'll be up for it. Of course they will.
Eddie Howe back as well.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 4-0. 4-0.
Yeah, that's going to be a high scoring affair. I think. I mean, Ipswich might get one. I'll go for a 4-1 Newcastle.
Okay, Chris.
I'm going to agree with Charlie again. I'm going to say 4-1 Newcastle.
Okay. Oh, Charlie, colour of you, Charlie.
It's a new alliance.
Chris, maybe we should put a little quid on these correct scores and see if it comes in. You know, if we're feeling good about it, yeah.
We should. Good idea. I'll watch this back and I'll do it.
But it does.
I better pack my suitcase. I agree with Dan. 4-0.
Oh,
4-0.
Scotland, here we come.
It's a triple whammy here because I'm also going 4-0.
I'll pick you up Saturday morning, mate. Pick you up Saturday morning, mate.
Love it. Okay, let's go down to. If I click on it, let's go down to forget all the rest of the fixtures. Nobody cares.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. Go on, Dad. Sunday, Bournemouth, Man United. Give us your prediction, mate.
3-1 Bournemouth.
Oh,
he's not going to play. Look, you got to remember, we got Europa League that week. He will be covering them all in cotton wool. I'd be very surprised if you'll see the likes of Fredrickson start again. Harry Amass will start again. I don't see him risking anyone.
Well, I think we actually need Bournemouth to be fit and firing, actually, because they're playing some of the teams in the mix.
No, I agree with Dan. I think 3-1 Bournemouth win.
Daz, Chris?
I'm going to say 2-0 Bournemouth.
Okay.
I agree with Chris. 2-0 Bournemouth for me as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 3-1 Bournemouth. We'll go with 3-1. Dan United, Forest, the rearranged fixture, Forest against Brentford. What are you going for?
See, I wish he was here for this because I'm going 2-1 Brentford. If they do well in the FA Cup, I think they will have a hangover. I honestly do. I think 2-1. If they win in the FA Cup against City, I'm going 2-1. And by the way, don't sleep on Brentford. They've got a really good away record.
They've been decent. They have been decent.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Chris?
I'm gonna say 2-1 Forest, and I don't believe Wolfie when he said 1-1. I don't think he thinks it's going to be 1-1. I think he thinks he's hedging his bets.
He's being fraudulent there.
Yeah, he is. I think 2-1 Forest.
Absolutely. Dad?
1-0 Forest. I mean, this one.
1-0 Forest. I'm with Dan. I think it's going to be 2-1 Brentford.
Oh.
I would love it.
I do. And lastly, boys, I'll take this one off. Semi-finals of the FA Cup. What do we think? Forest against Man City, Villa against Palace. Who's the winner out of those two for you guys?
I think it'll be a Villa City final.
Villa City final. Okay. Dan United?
Whoever wins out of Forest and City, or should I say whoever loses, this is going to be a massive psychological loss because they're both going for Champions League. This is a bigger game than I think both sets of fans realise. I honestly do. I will have to go with Wolfie. I think Forest will beat them. I genuinely think Forest will beat them. And we are potentially looking at a scenario where both Manchester clubs are out of the Champions League for the first time since the Champions League and Premier League era. I'd like to say I think it would be the first time that there is never. I'm telling you, it's a bit. Whoever loses this is going to be a massive blow to their season. Massive blow, because there's too much riding on this now for both teams. Both teams are in with a shout for Champions League. Both teams, as much as Wolfie says he doesn't care about the FA Cup, he wants Champions League. Both teams will want silverware, and I would go as far as saying whoever wins out of City and Forest will win the FA Cup. I honestly think that.
That's Chris.
Go on, Chris.
I'm going to say, I was going to be controversial then, but no, I'm going to stick with my heart. I think it will be a Villa. I think it will be a Villa Forest final. I was going to say Palace Forest, but I think that's maybe a stretch too far. But like that goal Mateta scored the other night, it just made that's what swayed me a little bit. You know, Palace will be bouncing into this with no distractions. They just want the FA Cup, don't they? So I didn't know whether Villa might still have one little eye on the Champions League, and also be devastated at the fact that, you know, they obviously had that hammer blow from City the other night. But no, I'm gonna say Villa Forest.
That's
For me, don't care. Once we got knocked out, I don't care. But I'm going to say it's going to be Forest and Villa in the final. That will be tasty.
Yeah, I think these semi-finals are incredibly close, both of them. I don't think either of them are a gimme at all.
No.
But I think Man City will beat Forest. Just got a feeling that Palace are going to win. I don't know why. I just feel like Palace are going to win this one.
It would be nice to have it like Villa. Wouldn't it? It'd be nice to be Forest and Villa, or Forest and Palace, and actually have
for sure.
and not a top team that when you go into the final you go, oh well, City are going to win that. Honestly, it's games like this that make people, I think, fall back in love with the FA Cup, because the FA Cup now is so far down priorities with clubs. Whereas, how old are you, Charlie?
Oh, I'm only 30.
So, well, okay, I'm 38. I mean, you boys above are sort of around my age.
Yeah.
The FA Cup was like, it was the
But it's the biggest thing, the biggest trophy.
It used to be an all-day affair on BBC One. It was
traveling stadium and the fans going.
I loved it.
It was amazing.
All day.
Yeah.
Build up.
The FA Cup final day, nothing else mattered. No other football or anything else mattered. It was just the FA Cup. You'd watch it from 10 in the morning all the way until God knows how long. That was it. I actually think there's a high chance that Palace win the whole thing. That's how. I've just got a feeling on this. They're going into it. They're probably the least of all of the teams. But as you boys have just said, they've got nothing else to lose, and it feels like when we played them at St James's, and even to an extent when they played against Arsenal, that they feel like they're holding back a little bit. And you know why I feel like that? It's because we did the same in the Carabao Cup. We were questioning our performances, but like it was very much they held back and just went for it.
Held back against Liverpool in the league, for sure.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, Pete, it's an opportunity for Palace to win the first bit of silverware they've ever won.
Yeah.
So imagine how big that is.
I mean, I wouldn't I know I said Villa, but I equally wouldn't be surprised if Palace did beat them.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Palace went on and won the whole thing. Wouldn't be at all. But let's wait and see, boys. They're your predictions. They're in. Let's see how right or wrong we were when we come and get together next week. Big thanks to Wolfie, Forest Fans TV. We're going to redirect you there in just a second as well. Charlie, Blue Brothers CFC, make sure you go and subscribe to his channel. United First and all things TikTok, Man United. Make sure you go and follow Dan as well. And of course, Loaded Mag, NUFC. Make sure you subscribe to all of them. Make sure you click to like on the way out, people. I think earlier on in the show, we had like 36 and we had well over 150 in the chat. Make sure you give that like on the way out.
All lads. Yeah,
come on. You know it makes sense.
Yeah,
get that
come
on.
I've got a Stitch running up the stairs for this, guys. Come on.
That alone, people.
That alone is worth the like button, yeah.
But boys, we're out of here. Let's see how
that is it. Stay on the stream. You'll be redirected to Wolfie. See you in the next one. Good night.